I feel like this may be the case, but I feel like some people are disappointed just based off of all the fan theories that they saw, reading into the interviews that Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen did. I don't think anyone should be disappointed that how dare they, in quotes, how dare they not have Doctor Strange show up? You can't be disappointed in the show because that didn't happen because you wanted it to happen.
All right. So, before we start, I want to guess how you feel about it.
Okay.
My guess is that you're not angry at the finale, but you're a little disappointed, but you're still all right with the series as a whole. How accurate am I in my assumption?
I would say 80%.
80% accurate. Okay.
Yes, I was slightly disappointed with how it ended. I thought it could have been and finished a little better, but overall, it was a good series, a good Marvel. Their first time really, besides like Agents of Shield, kind of doing a series, and it was a very weird concept, a very weird kind of idea to be the first thing that came out, and it kind of came out because of COVID. It came out as the first thing when in actuality it wasn't supposed to be, but it was a very weird premise. But I think they did a very very good job of accomplishing what they wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say there's definitely some people like really pissed off about the finale, and I kind of get that because they kind of set up a lot of things or teased at a couple things both in the actual series and in the episodes, and then there's Paul Bettany saying like, I get to work with this actor that I wanted to work with for a long time. It was just trolling everyone because he's talking about himself.
Yeah, so that interview that you're referencing, that was on Lights Camera Barstool, and I'm a big fan of theirs and their podcast.
Yeah,
and they had him on, and he kind of mentioned, he's like, I get to work with an actor that I wanted to work with my entire life. It's just amazing that I was able to work with this person, and it ends up being himself. So he did like a little troll job,
yeah,
to everyone involved. Then the other unfortunate thing was Elizabeth Olsen getting set up with, is there a Luke Skywalker type of moment, and she just responds yes. But you can't. But as someone promoting the show, you can't say no. Like,
yeah.
Is there a Luke Skywalker type of cameo or event in the show? She's out there promoting it. She's going to say yes. She's not going to say no. Overall, very well done. I'm excited to see Falcon and the Winter Soldier, to see how they do. I think WandaVision set the bar really high.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier is just going to be a more typical Marvel show, or I guess Marvel content in general, just because it's going to be probably more actiony. Still have tie-ins and stuff like that, but this was more like they kind of made it seem like a more intellectual type of show, if that makes any sense. It's like, oh, there's all these like hidden Easter eggs and stuff like that that'll hint at the future of this show or even Marvel in general. But yeah, I'd say the finale is like I'd probably give the finale an 8 because they wrapped up some things that needed to be wrapped up, but just throughout all the episodes there was so much that they introduced that it was basically impossible to wrap it up in the time frame that they had.
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
I was just gonna say like the and there's even some stuff that they kind of wrapped up, but I feel like we're not gonna see the end of it. So like for example, Ralph Boner, I feel like there's more behind that, because introducing the Evan Peters who played Quicksilver in X-Men and introducing him as like a cameo, even if it's just a cameo, I mean, sure, that's cool, got a lot of people hyped up about X-Men and mutants and stuff like that, so maybe it was kind of like a poor decision on that part. But I feel like that there's no way that they would introduce him and then it just be like kind of a troll and a little hint. And plus, like, I feel like because Lily and I actually just watched it because she hadn't watched it until tonight. And after Monica says Ralph Boner, and then he laughs and says Boner, I feel like if that was your actual last name, you wouldn't be like Boner. I feel like that'd be a thing. You're like, yes, that's my last name. Okay, it's Boner. Just get over it. So I feel like maybe he's not just some random dude. I feel like there's something behind that. But I may be wrong, and it's just me hoping that there's like just more to it than that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I thought it was like, oh, he's actually like Quicksilver, but he was Jimmy Woo's character person that was put there.
The missing persons case or whatever.
The protective services person. But then I was like, but I'm pretty sure Jimmy saw him.
Yeah.
On the TV.
That's what I was thinking as well.
He would have instantly said then, hey, that's the guy I'm supposed to find.
Yeah.
So that gives me pause as it kind of is just a Marvel letting every fan watch it and get their like, oh my god, it's happening, and then just kind of pulling the rug out from under them.
Yeah. Actually, going off of that, like, because that's one of the things that they didn't wrap up was who the missing person was and all that stuff. When Lily and I just watched it, there was a part when Agatha released everyone from their from Wanda's control.
Yep.
And then there was that Bev chick who was part of that meeting and it was like, devil's in the details, Bev. Well, that was Dottie saying it to her. But that person said, can I call my husband? He's away and I don't want him to come back here or something like that. So I'm wondering if possibly that's the missing person. I might be stretching here. And that it's just like, oh, her husband went away and then Wanda came and this happened. But yeah, I'm not really sure, because going back to that, Jimmy was like, oh, we called everyone, and then they just said they don't know who that is, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's something that needs to be figured out, and I wonder when or if it'll get figured out.
Yeah, that's like the struggle with it a little bit, because if you look, because after I watched the series finale, and I looked up the original timeline of release dates, just to kind of see.
Yep.
Doctor Strange was supposed to be released like less than a month after the end of WandaVision. So like, but now it's not. Now it's like not until 2022. It does seem like they gave us a lot of like small little questions, like who's the person under protective services that they're looking for, who's this Dottie girl, because I mean it just sounds like now that she's just a regular person in the town. You know, is Ralph Boner actually just Ralph Boner? So that gives us a lot of questions that they didn't give us a resolution to, which kind of stinks. But you get, in Kevin Feige we trust.
Of course.
They're going to give us the answers we're looking for later on. In whether it be Doctor Strange or Loki, maybe. But yeah, because I don't expect the Falcon and the Winter Soldier to have any potential tie-in to WandaVision whatsoever.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't think there will be too much crossover there either. Maybe like a couple, maybe a reference or two. But yeah, other than that, I'm not sure how much crossover there's going to be between Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision. Because, yeah, like you mentioned, I'm pretty sure Falcon and Winter Soldier was also supposed to come out before WandaVision. Because I think it was supposed to be Falcon, Winter Soldier, WandaVision, and then Doctor Strange 2. And I think Spider-Man 3 was supposed to come out soon after that as well. Because I know there was leaks. I don't really remember or know if they're true or not, but that was also supposed to tie into the multiverse theme.
Well, yeah, they're bringing all the Spider-Mans back. I just want to see Tobey Maguire again in the Spider-Man costume.
I might be alone on this, but I'm not the biggest fan of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
I mean, you do have to ignore the third one.
The third one is rough when he went through his emo phase.
Yeah, just walking down the street dancing.
The most 2000s thing you can possibly see.
Yeah, and possibly the most cringeworthy thing on all of television or movie history. Kind of going episode by episode real quick. 1 and 2, they were
slow.
They were setting up the precedents of what's going to happen, and it was slow.
I see
But classic Marvel.
And you're wrong.
They gave you that little itty bit at the end of the first one, where it's like, oh, what's going on? Because that's like a television. I don't understand. And then the second one was another kind of what's going on. The third one kind of just enhances that question, like, she's pregnant now. What? And then
what?
And then the fourth one.
The fourth one might be the best episode of the series, in my opinion. If not, it's like top 2.
Yeah, I think it is. I personally think the 8th episode and then the 4th episode are the top 2. The 4th episode, the absolute chaos that episode starts with everyone phasing back or whatever they're calling it.
The blip, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone coming back and being reformed, like, oh my god, like all this happening, and it just, obviously provides all the fans like theoretical questions, like what happens to someone who got snapped when they were in a plane in the sky? Like, where are they now? Are they in the plane now? What if they're in a car when they got snapped and that car is now destroyed? Where do they show up? Stuff like that. That provides a lot of interesting questions that we didn't really get out of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We just got everyone going back to school.
But yeah, actually, speaking of Far From Home, the end credits scene for Far From Home kind of relates to one of the end credits scenes for WandaVision. When Fury is in the spaceship with all the scrolls at the end of Far From Home, and then Monica is asked to go, assuming to the same ship to possibly Fury.
Yeah,
which will be interesting.
That would make sense because Fury was a pretty big character in Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel 2 or whatever. That'll be coming out. I would assume Monica has to be in it. That only makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's another thing about WandaVision. They set up all these good like characters. Like, I hope Agatha Harkness. I hope Catherine Hahn played her so well. She was one of my favorite characters.
So good.
One of my favorite characters, and I hope she's around in the future movies or whatever media that Marvel produces. And I think they kind of left it ambiguous because if people like the character, they can bring Catherine Hahn back to play Agnes, or if they didn't, they could just let her be, mind tricked by Wanda for eternity until she dies, the nosy neighbor. But now they gave everyone the chance for her to come back as a witch. So that's nice.
Yeah, because I feel like killing off that character would be a poor choice. Just because one, Catherine Hahn was amazing as Agatha. She played that role so great, which is very strange to compare that to her role in Step Brothers. I feel like and even if it wasn't just Catherine Hahn playing her really well, just the character is really cool and in the comics really important to Wanda's story. So I have a feeling we'll see her maybe for a longer period of time, maybe for like one scene in, but I feel like we're definitely going to see her in Doctor Strange 2 for some period of time.
Now, here's a question.
Yes.
Is Wanda the main villain in Doctor Strange 2?
I think based on the post credit scene when she's like seemingly like astral projecting herself and looking through the dark hole.
Same as Doctor Strange does.
Yep. And then hears her kids' voices, and then boom, end of series. I feel like she'll be like the enemy for. I was gonna say maybe she'd be the enemy for the first half, but then maybe there's a bigger bad behind her, and then she's like, "Oh, what have I done? Stephen Strange, help me." But I feel like the bigger bad that would be controlling Wanda would potentially be like the big bad for these next 3 phases. But I don't know if they would introduce the biggest bad for the next few phases in the first movie released in Phase 4. But
is it?
I don't know.
Well, I guess Black Widow would be the first one, right? Because that's supposed to come out.
Oh, true. I keep on forgetting about that movie.
Yeah, the Black Widow movie got the biggest shaft with the pandemic because it was supposed to come out like in April or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it was supposed to kick off summer of 2020.
Yeah.
And then theaters all closed down, and then they delayed it, and now it's been a year.
Yeah. And I feel like with the ending, like I've watched some videos of people being pretty salty about the ending, and I feel like the time gap along with the amount of things they introduced is a main focus on why they're upset, because this is the first Marvel content we got in like a year, and then plus they introduce all these things that we don't have answers to now, and we don't know when we'll get the answers to. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it's if you dislike the series and how it ended, just based off of how it ended, that's perfectly fine. But I don't think you have any. Now, I feel like this may be the case, but I feel like some people are disappointed just based off of all the fan theories that they saw, reading into the interviews that Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen did. I don't think anyone should be disappointed that how dare they, in quotes, how dare they not have Doctor Strange show up? You can't be disappointed in the show because that didn't happen because you wanted it to happen. I feel like if that's why you're upset with the series, then you're not watching it to enjoy it. Like, I think WandaVision, if it was unconnected to Marvel and it was by its own thing, and it wasn't even related to Marvel comics, I think I would still enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Like, if it was completely separated. But because it's connected, they had to fit some things in. And my biggest gripe with the series is the pacing through some episodes and then overall the series. I feel like the first 2 episodes, I feel like this is a common theme. First 2 episodes could have been pushed together to one.
More than likely, yep.
And then I would have liked the last 3 episodes or last 2 episodes expand to at least 3, possibly 4.
Yeah.
Because, like, I feel like there were certain times during the series finale when I think it would have been a better choice to have the audience really live with Wanda making the decision she made. Like, when Agnes released everyone from Wanda's spell, and they're all like begging her to stop doing what she's doing, and she gets so upset, like she's doing as Agnes says, she does what villains do. Like she's doing what a villain does,
Yeah.
and like she gets upset, starts choking them with her powers,
Mm-hmm.
realizes what she's doing, stops it, and then goes away. Like I think it would have been more impactful if they let us like sit with that moment for longer than 30 seconds. And I feel like that's a problem. I feel like they gave Jimmy, Darcy, and Monica very little closure at the end of the series because of pacing, because they're jamming so much into that final 40 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But the stuff that was in it was good. It was just like there was no. I mean, this is a series. It's not a movie. You're not fitting everything into a 2 hour, 2.5 hour like piece of media. You got 9 episodes. You could expand it to 10. Um, but each individual part was great. It was
Mm-hmm.
just that they're so back to back to back to back. You always felt like you never could catch your breath to realize what's going on. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, and
but
I
again,
think go into like the comment about like the first two episodes being the same episode. I think that would definitely help because the first two episodes are definitely slow for the overarching story of the series. And I think it was definitely smart of them to release both of them right away.
yeah,
But I honestly probably the main reason behind it being two episodes is just because then it could be one episode per decade, rather than be like, oh, half of this episode is the 50s and next half is the 60s and then color and then 70s for the next episode. So I kind of get that part of like the first two not being apart, but I definitely agree. Sometimes the pacing seemed like slow, and then like throughout the middle part of it seemed like perfect, and then the last part, like the amount of things they needed to close up they didn't have time for, at least what they gave themselves, unless there are some things that are going to be closed in other media, which we'll find out.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I feel like they did get rushed, but like, um, again, on the series finale, the Vision on Vision fight,
Oh,
I
so
thought
good.
was really awesome.
That was really good.
Them phasing through each other was
Yeah.
really cool.
Uh-huh.
And then I also love the fact that because they're essentially just, you know, computer programs in a body, they, instead of being physical, they suddenly start discussing
Talk
stuff,
about
and
the
they
ship of Theseus.
yeah, the ship is Theseus, and determining what it determines the ship of Theseus and what doesn't, and they have this intellectual conversation, and then also it'll be interesting to go because we just saw White Vision fly off.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea where he is, but he could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean it's fairly reasonable to believe that because Wanda projected Vision touched his unlocked all of his other memories that were being hidden from him, that he realizes who he is. So is this just going to be the same Vision as before, but without a Mind Stone, and is now white, but he essentially still has the same motivations and same feelings as he did before he got killed by Thanos?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
so
I
that's
remember. I'm sorry. You can finish before I start.
yeah. So that's another question that we'll need to have answered, and who knows how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really like how Hayward just ended up being just like this
Just a dude.
stereotypical dude that just has just a little power hungry.
Yeah.
But then, if you really think about it, you could kind of make the case that he's the good guy in this and Wanda's the bad guy.
Oh, for sure. And then going back to Vision flying off, I saw some people upset like, oh, if he has all the feelings of this Vision, why doesn't he go help Wanda? Which I kind of thought of first, and I expected him to show up at the very end. I thought the Wanda created Vision, the normal looking Vision, was gonna be like, oh, Wanda, I have a surprise for you. Then gonna like have the White Vision come in and it's like, oh, I gave him all my memories, and there's gonna be a whole lot of stuff happen there. But then that didn't happen. We just don't see the White Vision, And then I
Hmm.
saw some people be like, "Oh, why didn't he come? If he has all of his memories, why doesn't he come back and help Wanda?" And then I was thinking, I was like, if you didn't know anything before this point in time, this certain point in time, and then all of a sudden you get every single memory before that, would you immediately go help this person that you've supposedly spent a lot of time with? Like, if, I don't know, maybe it's different for a person compared to a synthezoid. But I feel like he probably just like went off somewhere to like try to figure out like his
Yeah,
life.
yeah, he had some shit to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
he
like,
was like, "Oh, I was created to destroy the world, and then I decided to help the world. Then I fell in love with this human. This human had to kill me, and then I was brought back to life. Then I was killed in front of her." Yeah, that's a whole lot to unpack.
so yeah, so it'll be interesting how they bring that back because that's obviously going to lead to something, whether it be uh something that's tackled in Captain Marvel 2, potentially the um potentially Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
I I personally think what they're going to do is Doctor Strange is going to have to deal with Wanda trying to find her kids, like trying to reclaim her kids because she
Mm-hmm.
heard them.
Yeah.
And then halfway through Doctor Strange, she kind of comes back to and helps Doctor Vision or Doctor Vision,
Doctor Vision.
Doctor Strange take on the guy who's been manipulating Wanda to opening up the multi-universe. Um, but I would really like it to see Wanda become like the big bad for Phase 4. Maybe not the Thanos esque big bad,
Yeah.
but like,
Like the Loki and the Shatari for the
yeah,
Avengers. Like that
yeah,
kind of bad.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because she is that powerful. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she is another thing that I really like that I saw mentioned online is that when Agnes says you're more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the end, at the final end credit scene, she's astral projecting going through the Darkhold while
Mm-hmm.
conscious. You only saw Doctor Strange astral
While
project when he
sleeping.
was while sleeping.
Yep.
So so that means that potentially she's stronger than Doctor Strange, and then thus in Phase Four's Avenger-esque moment, Doctor Strange and probably Spider-Man, probably Captain Marvel, and anyone else has to take on Wanda. And
Mm-hmm.
you could get really weird with it because that magic fight between her and Agnes, I really enjoyed.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was really cool too. And then like watching it back, because I saw that there was like a little bit of criticism on how she's like, oh, she sees the sigils once and then she like does it and it's
Yes,
like, oh, when did
I
she
fit
do it? And then I was watching the fight because this was mentioned in another video I watched. Like, oh, she does it during the fight. You see her miss Agatha on
on
purpose,
purpose.
hits the
Yep.
wall, and then that's where the runes are. Because I, it's not fully explained, but my assumption is as long as you have those specific runes and then you have your magic tied to it, that's probably all you need. And then she does, like is it's explained, she has no need for incantation, so she doesn't need to say anything. She just has the ability to do.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, so I will say my gripe is that you never see her try to learn the runes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's just assuming that if you expand all this and you say, well, she saw the runes and she had Agnes explain it to her that these runes mean that no only Agnes could do magic in the cellar or whatever.
Yeah.
She would then just have to memorize the like style of the runes and put each rune up that she memorized. Now that's a little far fetched, I would say, but then, but there's no way that Wanda could have actually learned that technique rather than just memorization and throwing them out there. I
Yeah.
feel, and
Yeah.
that might be the case, but um, I I am I enjoyed the fight as I said, but I am slightly confused because she was throwing magic, getting sapped purposefully.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then I also
Was
didn't know that Wanda had the ability to sap her magic back.
Yeah, that's the one other thing I'm also a little confused about. how she was able to suck back her energy from Agatha, and then maybe even some energy from Agatha herself.
Hmm.
But maybe that's like just the whole becoming the Scarlet Witch, and then getting, you haven't seen my final form, get into that like mindset.
Hmm.
Maybe that just sucks people's energy around you. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's one of the things that kind of needed to be explained.
Yeah, because I
Um,
don't feel like we'll get an explanation of that from any other thing besides WandaVision.
yeah. Because there's definitely things you can do that, like, oh, this happens, and you don't need to explain it. But I think that's one of the few things that's like, oh, all of a sudden she can do this. Okay, sure. But yeah, I thought the fight was pretty good as well. Wanda's Scarlet Witch costume looked pretty dope. Looked really
Yeah,
cool.
it was awesome.
Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of interesting because I was thinking about this. I was like, oh, how did Agatha stay as Agnes after she closed down the hex? But I was watching a video, and one of the guys explained it as like she put a spell on Agatha as a person that does not
Yep.
deal with the hex. There's one other thing that like people were curious about was like the astrophysicist that Monica is talking about. If that's like a real person, if that was just some random person, if it's like Mr. Fantastic, which a lot of people were expecting and hoping for.
I really thought I was going to see John Krasinski as Reed.
that would
I
have
really
been pretty
did.
sweet.
I
Um,
just-
but yeah, and because we haven't really talked about her at all, Monica, her powers were super dope. I think she's going to be a really cool character, and I think without, I think this is like one of the better like origin stories that they've come out with, without it being just I think the best part about it is that it's not just an origin story movie. It's that it was like slowly introduced in this series, and there's already backstories with her before she got her powers from Captain Marvel. So it'll be really interesting to see how her powers affect the Marvel universe, as well as how she'll interact with Captain Marvel the next time they meet, because she did not seem to be the biggest fan of Carol Danvers from episode 4 or 5. I have a feeling it's probably about like her mother's death and how she probably didn't come back for it or anything like that.
yeah, I mean, potentially Captain Marvel's best friend from Earth. She didn't come back to help or see her when she was dying of cancer or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you would assume that they kept somewhat close contact over time. But yeah, so yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that works out. Um, man, I just really want to see Doctor Strange. I feel like I'm really high up on the original Doctor Strange. I really enjoyed that film, and then I did like him in Avengers.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how the second one goes. But yeah, I really would like it if Wanda's the big bad, the Doctor Strange eventually has to recruit other people to help him. I really think that would be cool because, like, that's one of the good things that Marvel's done about their bad guys is like they make their bad guys seem somewhat sympathetic, and you can kind of see where they're coming from. And I mean, the saying is like every villain is the good guy in their story.
Yeah.
So like Thanos is trying to save the world by destroying half the population. Like as crazy and fucked up as that is, you can kind of understand like why he's doing this. And now you can like everyone can see why Wanda is going crazy. She's lost her parents to a Sokovian war where the bombs were Stark.
Yep.
She lost her brother.
Yep.
While fighting with Tony Stark. And now she lost Vision twice in one day to Thanos. And then she's so written that she creates this area and projects Vision so she can be with him, and eventually has to, under her own volition, take it down the hex to destroy not only Vision but now her twins.
Yeah. Brutal.
She's gone through some grief. People could understand her wanting to get that back in a way that's not hurting other people like the hex was, but by doing that, she still may have to hurt people another way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how everything in WandaVision affects the future of the universe. Because like what happened to Monica going through the hex, gave her powers. So, and I know that's what a lot of people were thinking was going to happen, of how mutants enter the cinematic universe. So she definitely has the ability to basically make mutants. So it'll be curious to see if that's how the X-Men are introduced into this, or if it's some other way, like with the multiverse. But yeah, I think this was a great start to Phase 4.
Yep.
The ending is the main issue there is they had a bunch of shit set up that some of it just wasn't mentioned, or some of it just wasn't what everyone hoped it would be, which sucks. And they kind of did to themselves. But hey, this is just the beginning, so who knows what the final answers are actually going to be. But a series as a whole, I thought WandaVision was really great. Kind of sucks that I don't have anything looked forward to on Fridays anymore. For
a week. For like a week.
Yeah, because actually the WandaVision Gallery comes out next Friday, I'm pretty sure. And then I think Falcon and Winter Soldier comes out the Friday after that. So
yeah,
really, I guess, other than the Gallery, I guess, which will be interesting to see what that's about. I don't have too much to look forward to for 1 week, which I guess is all right.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? In February, right as WandaVision started, someone came out and kind of looked at the release schedule of everything, and through 2021, like there at the start of February, or at the start of WandaVision, whatever it was it late January?
Something like that, yeah.
Like there's only going to be like 4 to 6 weeks of non-Marvel content for the entire year. So
yeah.
Like we're spoiled right now.
Crazy.
Because we were deprived last year, thanks COVID.
But yeah, any final thoughts and opinions on WandaVision and what Phase 4 is going to bring us in the near future?
I mean, overall, when you first heard the premise of the show, you're like, wait, what? It's Wanda and Vision. Vision's dead. And the show's based off of prior sitcoms. And they took that premise and made it not only a good series, like a good mini series technically, because this is the only 9 episodes, but like made it a fruitful contribution to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They provided great bases for more characters like Photon, Monica.
Yep.
Jimmy and Darcy were extremely like enhanced. I love Jimmy Woo now. I want a TV series of him just going around doing FBI stuff
and magic tricks.
Yeah, magic tricks. Like as soon as he did that, I was like, why would he do a magic trick? Like when I was like, I don't understand. Like when he pulled out his card.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, in Ant-Man, he was trying to copy him.
Yeah.
You know? He's trying to figure it out. And like that's how Marvel's so good, is because they just take this little itty bitty bit in a movie that's just kind of comical because he's trying to copy Ant-Man's card trick.
Yeah.
And then literally years down the road, he's introducing himself to another person and he does it. Like that's so cool. Like to be able to have to set stuff up like that is just well done. Like no one has ever done that before.
Oh no, absolutely not. And like even the first time watching it, I just completely missed it. And then I was like just watching a breakdown video and they mentioned, I was like, wait, what? I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, Darcy, I mean, she didn't really have much to do in the last episode, but which I think is fine cuz there's not all too much she could have done, so I think she did the most she could have by stopping Hayward.
Yeah.
We didn't get what happened afterwards, but her and Jimmy Woo, cuz I know like Darcy as a character probably got some criticism in the first couple Thors just because
I
of the
didn't like her.
character. Yeah. And this definitely just increased the popularity in both those characters as well as just them as a character. I think they're both really cool now. They're both characters. It's cool how they took side characters in 3 separate Marvel movies and basically brought them to a forefront of a series.
Mm-hmm.
Monica, because she was just a kid in Captain Marvel, and then Jimmy Woo, and then Darcy.
And then not only that, the 2 main characters of WandaVision, like they were not explored heroes really in the original phase 1 through 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like Vision, like there's only so much connection the audience can create with Vision because he's just this robot in human form. And Wanda, she's supposedly has all these huge powers that are really good, but she's always unstable and can't really control it. So she was kind of nerfed
Mm-hmm.
in the first few phases, and now they're unleashing her full potential, like getting her super buff. Like, oh yeah, Wanda is actually really dope, and she's really powerful, and people should be afraid of her.
Yeah, she's definitely S tier now for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Besides all of that, the individual characters were well done, but I will just hark back on my previous point. But Agnes was my favorite character. Like
Mm-hmm.
Catherine Hahn again. Shout out, she was amazing. She's really good in everything I see her in. Like, I'm a big Parks and Rec fan, and when she shows up, she's hilarious in that show. And then obviously you mentioned Step Brothers, she's hilarious there.
Mm-hmm.
And she was really good in here, just being that nosy neighbor when she was playing a part, and then being fairly evil and cunning. I will say, to kind of finish it up, it led up to so many things that it felt somewhat incomplete at the end, because there's so many more questions, and that kind of harks back to our points that we've been making of it just seemed a little rushed, a little unfinished with the conclusion of the series.
Mm-hmm.
And then as we also mentioned, there's a lot of like red herrings that were like, they give us this little itty bit of like something to chew on, and then we think about it, we look into it, and then it just not happen. Like Pietro is Evan Peters, like that's Quicksilver from X-Men, that's
Mm-hmm.
huge. And then he's, as of right now, he's Ralph Boner. He like casting Evan Peters as Pietro just solely gave Marvel to do a boner joke at the end. Like that's what it led up to.
Yeah.
While the whole time we're like, that's Quicksilver from X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
So like Magneto's showing up. Michael Fassbender's Magneto is going to show up. Like, so they put a lot of stuff like that in. And then it just feels somewhat unfinished with Wanda messing with the entire town.
Yeah.
So there's repercussions.
Mm-hmm. And then like Agatha's was like, you have no idea what you released, so like who knows what that's referencing, because I think I saw that it's like talking about like releasing so much chaos magic kind of blurs the boundaries between universes or something along those lines. So it'll be, because I'm assuming something multiverse related will be the big bad throughout these next couple phases. The next Thanos.
Yeah. I'm pretty excited. It was, just a really good series. I honestly feel bad for Falcon Winter Soldier, because I think that's only 6 episodes, if I saw correctly.
Oh, really?
Like 6 hour-longish episodes. So they're longer episodes, but there's less of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, that's just going back to the standard traditional Marvel formula. Like 2 guys beating down bad guys.
Yeah.
Like they have a tough act to follow. I'm not saying they can't, but we like I think you and me could pretty confidently come up with the story arc of Falcon Winter Soldier.
Like I mentioned earlier, Falcon and Winter Soldier is definitely going to be the more typical Marvel content, which isn't bad because everything Marvel is usually good. But yeah, I'm interested because it looks like Zemo is going to be the main bad in Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is the guy in Civil War that puts Tony Stark in.
He's a guy with no powers, and he's a good matchup for Falcon Winter Soldier because they really don't have too many powers. He just has his mind. So again, I like it how they're bringing these two series in. Wanda's obviously more fantastical, but this premise was more down to earth, more singular, where it's hard to lead up all the way to Thanos over the course of roughly 10 years and have this super worldwide event battle, and then the next movie you're dealing with the repercussions of that in Spider-Man. And now we're getting back to where we're starting from scratch again as the bad people are everyday people. Like that's how it was in Iron Man.
Yeah.
The first Iron Man, the bad guy of Iron Man was his
Obadiah Stane.
Yeah, who just created a bigger suit. Like that's very like local of the Earth bad guy. And then we get to the point where Thanos is this guy from universes away who time travels and is trying to get these Infinity Stones to erase the world. Like you have to reset that point. You can't just it's hard to keep getting bigger.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like you mentioned, it's hard to follow up because like you said, it's basically starting over, and we're going to find out who the big bad of the next, probably, I'm assuming 3 phases again, because I'm assuming they'll kind of go like that sort of rotation. There's like 3
Everything
phases,
looks
one
good
big
and graceful.
overarching big bad. Yeah. And I wonder who it's going to be, because there's like Mephisto was hinted at a lot in this series. Nightmare was hinted at a lot. A villain named Chthon, which I'm not as familiar with because he was mentioned not as much as all the other guys in the breakdown videos I watch, because that's the only reason why I even know of those guys' names. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who ends up being the biggest bad. But this is going to be a good phase, and it's just going to be weird not having some big overarching story that connects it all, since we've had that for like the past 3 years.
Yeah, I'm excited. Now the fact that Mephisto wasn't mentioned in WandaVision, it gives me a slight pause to see if Mephisto will ever show up, because when you think about it, Marvel's out there to make movies, or money, and China, big anti-devil people, where Disney, if you want to turn it around and touch back on Star Wars, they decreased the size of Finn on the poster for the Star Wars poster for the China version, because it's China. Like you're gonna say they're gonna create the devil where China has this problem with the devil. They're not gonna do that. So I've now that he's not mentioned, I have an even bigger pause that Mephisto will be in Marvel at all.
Yeah, even though I think that'd be really cool to have like the literal devil in the Marvel comic book universe be a big bad. I think that'd be really cool to see on film, but like you said, I think it's unlikely. But I mean, it was just hinted at so much, but then again, not all the hints went anywhere in WandaVision. So
Ralph Boner.
That's all we got to say.
That's gonna be
that was a big boner.
Yeah, that's gonna be the thing said anytime something is hinted at and it doesn't lead up to it. Big old Ralph Boner incident right there.
I got bonered.
Ralph Boner.
But yeah, I'm just hoping that's actual Quicksilver, because just him laughing at his own last name, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just me hoping, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll
We
see.
shall see.
Looking forward to Falcon Winter Soldier. Hopefully, it keeps the momentum going, and eventually we'll get into movies and back into theaters. And
Yeah.
can't wait.
Yeah, no kidding. Hoofda. I just want to see a Marvel movie in theaters and hear the opening sequence with beautiful, beautiful surround sound all around me. That's all I want in life right now. But WandaVision wasn't too bad of what I can get, so I'll take it.
Yep, I agree. Thanks for having me on again.
Of
It was
course.
fun. I enjoyed WandaVision and looking forward to the next time we discuss something.
Oh yeah, which will possibly probably be Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then after
Yep.
that probably Bad Batch. It's nice to have Marvel back, even though we've had it back for the past 8 weeks. We actually have the conclusion to something to talk about, so that's kind of that's probably the best part. Lovely. Well, yeah, thanks for hopping on with me, and I'm sure we'll be talking about something nerdy sometime soon.
Sounds good. Take it easy.
Hey, have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.